This is Andreas Öberg's book, Gypsy Fire. I have previously covered 2 other Gypsy Jazz books, so this is the 3rd Gypsy Jazz book that I cover. Gypsy Fire by Andreas Öberg. I know some of you are saying Andreas Oberg, but the correct pronunciation is Andreas Öberg. Trust me, and it feels kind of weird for me to say Andreas Oberg, so I apologize for my correct pronunciation. There I was trying to play along with the slow version. There's like 4 solos or etudes at the end of this book, and that was my attempt to play along with the slow version, mind you, of Minor Swing. So it's like a solo composed by Andreas, which you find in this book. And Andreas, of course, is famous for playing very fast, and yeah, this is not easy stuff. But if you are a guitarist you know how to play guitar pretty well, and maybe you're a jazz guitarist and you're wondering about this genre, Gypsy Jazz or Django Reinhardt Jazz, how do I play this stuff? It could be a good book, because there aren't that many books out there on this topic, and this is one of the better ones. So as always, when I cover a book that is in print, I'm not gonna put the tabs or anything on the screen. This book you can get from djangobooks.com if you're in the States. I think that's also the publisher of the book, and there are ways you can find it in Europe as well. With all that, let's get into the content, shall we? So the way the information is presented is that the first half of the book is like a bunch of licks and techniques that you need to understand to play in this style, and then there are those 4 solos that apply, where they apply those techniques. First, he's explaining the so-called gypsy picking. So there's an A minor arpeggio. With the way they play in this style, it's a little bit different than you normally would. For both hands. So remember that Django Reinhardt only had these 2 fingers available for line playing, which might sound like a disadvantage and a handicap, but it was actually turned out to be an advantage. I mean, it didn't stop him, because these 2 fingers are actually the best fingers, I think. So if you kind of, I don't know, plan your licks and stuff around getting the most usage out of these 2 fingers. So right off the bat, I'm jumping to the next. Instead of stretching, it's more about moving the hand. So I think A, and then I think of try it in first inversion, and then an octave higher. Only those 2 fingers. Then of course I use my pinky to reach the high note, because I have a pinky available. And then what the other hand is doing, the so-called gypsy picking, in lack of a better term. You play close to the bridge to get volume, and I do rest strokes. That's the big thing, rest strokes. So I let the pick fall into the next string. So it's a downstroke, but if I play 2 notes on a string, then the next one is an upstroke. So there's a general rule of thumb here, no pun intended. When changing strings, always use a downstroke. So when I'm changing strings, there, but it's not entirely true, because I do a downstroke here as well, because that's an important downbeat of the next. So there is no like exact formula that you can always apply to this, but and And you do that on the way back as well. This is like the opposite of sweep picking. And I also don't think that this is sweep picking because from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, the sweep picking is, the idea is to kind of rake the strings like you're sweeping. Here you're still kind of attacking. So the difference between doing and down, 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 down. Gypsy picking is a little bit more about that because, again, you want volume. But then, of course, you do sweeps in this style as well. It's just an A minor arpeggio. Then there's a little diminished lick, and the diminished arpeggios are huge in this style. This is a lick you could use over a tune like Dark Eyes. A7 to D minor. So there's a lot of open strings, and I could probably play this whole lick with my first two fingers. That's probably how Django would have played something like that. So it's like a diminished chord. Then minor 6 arpeggio. So diminished arpeggios and minor 6 arpeggios, if you master those, or you need to master those in order to play this style, I think, and we're gonna talk more about that. Then he talks about the kind of voicings that you use. There are specific types of chords that look really weird to the uninitiated guitarist. Like, first time I saw those chords voicings, I was like, that gotta be wrong. But no, you play chords like that. You play big chords, like major 6, major 6, 9, and minor 6. So it's kind of the opposite of how they teach jazz chords in jazz school, where they show you these kind of chords with shell voicing, stuff like that. No, here you want, again, we need volume because this is music that is not amplified from the beginning anyway.
Gypsy Fire.
So this book comes with a CD.
Guitar by Andreas Öberg. 4.
It's an A major chord.
Example 1.1. Fast. 1, 2, 3.
So that's a lick you could use on A major chord. If you're playing Django's Tiger. So it's just a chromatic note below the chord tone. And for those of you who don't know, Andreas Öberg is this Swedish guitar player who is very much responsible, I think, for popularizing this genre when nobody was playing this music in the 90s and early 2000s. Can't remember when he came on the scene, but I remember in Stockholm, all of a sudden everybody was talking about Andreas Öberg and everybody wanted to play gypsy jazz. And then I moved to Canada and people were like, oh, you're from Sweden, do you know Andreas Öberg? I've actually never met him. When I moved back to Sweden, he had already moved on, and he is now writing K-pop or producing K-pop, from what I understand. That's what I've heard. But I know a lot of people who have played with him, and I've seen him play a few times. And he kind of shocked everybody with playing this style of music that nobody else was playing really. And this like good-looking Swedish guy with incredible chops. He has very, very mind-blowing technique. not just in the gypsy jazz. He's a phenomenal straight ahead jazz player as well. Then there's some more licks in this style, and that's a typical gypsy jazz lick. What I like about this that he's also letting you know which type of players that would do this. So here, this is a lick in the style of Chabalo Schmidt or Jorgi Loeffler. Excuse me for butchering these names, but he also tells you what region these people are apparently from. Alsace. Here's a very, very like standard gypsy jazz lick over a C major chord. I would finger it differently. I would do this. You hear gypsy jazz player play this kind of licks all the time. This is number 15.
Example number 5. Slow. 3, 4. Example number 5, fast. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So the fingerings are written out and the picking patterns so that you can understand how they use this so-called gypsy jazz picking. There's also this open strings. So it's like ghost notes, which is another very typical thing that Jack Reinhardt did all the time. Here is another example of using open strings. So if I'm in G major, playing thirds, but I use an open string, whatever open string is available. Then I get this picking pattern that is really good. So down, down, up, down, down, up. So they could be triplets, but it's more exciting to do the rhythm that goes against. Let's listen to it.
Example 6.1. Slow. 3, 4.
So when you're learning licks like this, it's important to find tunes that you can apply them to. So this one, I think, for example, would work perfectly over After You've Gone. So on YouTube, there are tons of backing tracks for gypsy jazz. Here is one. They're called Guitar Improvisation, or I guess Guitar Improvisation. And After You've Gone, right? Here. Here we go. That was the other lick, right? That's how you're supposed to play it. So let me try a little bit faster. So see, already I could put 2 of those licks that I've learned to use over a tune. And try it out, and if you want to change something, change it. Of course, I'm just giving you a taste of, there's so many licks in here. And remember, all the licks have audio so you can hear what they're supposed to sound like. Some of these techniques are more kind of extreme than others, so here's a lick. In the style of Schmidt. Schmidt is one of the more, how should I put it, traditional, I guess, players. He's an authentic kind of gypsy jazz player. Let's check it out.
Example
29 already, so I'm skipping a lot here, of course.
Example 9.2. Slow. 3, 4.
Let me do that again. What?
Example 9.2. Slow.
The
Example
audio and what's on the
9.2.
tab is not the
Slow.
same.
3, 4.
The audio didn't match the notation there. There was a note missing, but I'm not sure if he made a mistake in the play. But be that as it may, I've heard Schmidt play those licks sometimes like the whole neck. It's a little bit kind of ridiculous. So if you're gonna play something like that, you have to kind of really commit to that, and you can't play. You can't hesitate. You have to play it convincingly, and with the right attitude. And I've even seen an interview with him. There's a documentary about gypsy jazz players where he's in it, and he talks about that. You can't be afraid. You can't be scared in this style. You have to kind of play with, I guess, killer instinct. It also feels a little bit like it's his thing, so I don't usually play stuff like that. 1, I can't. And 2, it's not. It feels a little bit like I'm trespassing on others' style. Then there's a lot of these kind of diminished type licks. It's like an E7 going to A minor, like in minor swing. So it's kind of like harmonic minor, right? You hear people say that a lot, that gypsy jazz is all about harmonic minor, but I'm not so sure that I hear them play straight up harmonic minor that much. It's more like the diminished arpeggio that you find in the harmonic minor. But here I guess it's a harmonic minor. So it's not all picking, there are pull-offs. In there too, so it's all notated there so you can check it out. Very minor swing sounding. That's what it is, sorry. Let's play that one. Already at 47, so you see how much I'm skipping.
Example 16. Slow. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I take that back. They do play harmonic minor quite a lot. Django Reinhardt often used octaves too, and he would play stuff like this. Rhythmic stuff. To create kind of a, so it's 3-note groupings. So I'm down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. You can comp in that style too. It's called Gypsy Rumba. So it's a good idea to develop that ability to do that down, up, down, up. And you can also do that in soloing, right? In this style, and it's good to be able to do that even if you're playing like a shuffle as an electric guitar player. It's a good thing. Triplets is something we need to work on. All right, here's part 2, solos. It's very nicely laid out. It's a well put together book. It's like nice to look at this layout and everything. So kudos to you. The first tune, the solo, I call these etudes. I see this a lot in gypsy jazz, that they write out solos, written out solos, and practice them over these tunes that you play in this style. And you can do that in regular jazz as well. I remember they had us do that in college, to write out our own solo and learn it as an etude. I guess one of the reasons that there aren't that many books on this topic is because it doesn't... I know this style is not about theory or analyzing stuff. It's more about learning licks and jamming with people. And you're supposed to learn from a master. Find somebody who can play this stuff and learn from that person. So it doesn't really fit the book format. But now we have these books. I've previously covered Dennis Chang's book. I've also covered Robin Nolan's book. They're both very, very good. So I'll put links to those. And if you get those books and this one, there were 3 books, will give you more than enough stuff to get started if you want to look into this style. They're equally as good, I would say. Maybe Robin Nolan is a little bit more beginner oriented, perhaps, and Dennis Chang's book is more about the style in and of itself, explaining this mystery, whereas this is a book with just licks and 4 solos. So the first tune is China Boy, and it starts a little intro with the thing we just talked about, like a little setup for the tune. So China Boy is a standard that they play a lot in this style, and I don't think I've ever heard a straight ahead jazz group play China Boy, but in gypsy jazz they play it all the time. And here is Andreas Oberg's composed solo. I'll play along with if I can.
Solo number 1, China Boy. Slow. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Pages. Some interesting stuff here. That's the thing, but it's a D minor over G7. Again, those open strings as ghost notes there. minor 6 arpeggio. So over a B minor 6, you can play G minor 7 flat 5. Same thing. Then he's quoting that Django's Tiger, which is a tune, it's a contrafact over Tiger Rag, one of Django Reinhardt's more challenging melodies. And there he's playing the minor third over a major chord. It works because of that diminished relationship. And then there's that I talked about, the octaves, the rhythmic 3-note groupings. Very 2/5, very gypsy jazz sounding 2/5-1 lick. Then the surrounding bebop surround. There's one of those things that sounds silly, and it's like, yeah, I can do that, but when you try to do it fast, it's actually very hard. And these kind of chord stabs. A lot of this stuff that you normally also don't play in regular straight ahead jazz. It's like a 9 sharp 5 chord, right? And here, it's a sub 5 to A flat, but with a sharp 9. So A, 7 sharp 9 as a sub 5. That's kind of crazy. And again, it's like the Django Reinhardt mentality. If you're gonna play something like that, you have to do it 100%. You can't be kind of doing it. You have to play it like, yeah, it's supposed to be there, and then it works. Here is that major chord. The diminished arpeggio just below the major chord gives you that gypsy jazz sound when you get that minor third over the major chord and stuff like that. And then there's like a Charlie Parker sounding lick, but Django Reinhardt was very influenced by Charlie Parker, I think, at the end. Not sure of the history. And then there's another 2/5-1 lick that sounds very gypsy jazz. I think it comes from that tune Home When Shadows Fall, I think, and it ends with the Barry Harris movement that I have talked about. Here is Andreas with Stockel Rosenberg, two handsome fellas. Let's just try to play it fast as well. See how that goes.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's actually not that fast. He will play faster later. The next solo is Blue Bossa, which is not a typical gypsy jazz tune, but they do play it sometimes. And I know Andreas likes to play that. I've seen him play that quite a few times. And there's a lot of arpeggios here. And then minor swing that I try to play in the beginning there. It starts with the craziest chord of today. I don't even know if I've seen Django Reinhardt play this chord. It seems kind of crazy, but it's an E, 9, sharp 5. So far, so good. And flat 9. So a regular 9, F sharp, and an F. Yeah. So it's also something you have to learn how to do those. We took those phrases from Django's solo on I'll See You in My Dreams. Such a typical, almost too typical. It's like a quintessential gypsy jazz lick. I guess that's harmonic minor. I guess what I'm saying is that they use that as a dominant scale, the harmonic minor. I don't hear them play harmonic minor over a minor chord, if you know what I mean. It's always a dominant sound. Here comes something interesting and very difficult to play. So what it is, it's minor 6 arpeggios played 2 note per string. So A, starting with C, C, E, F sharp A, C, E, F sharp A. And that's triplets. And then D minor. So it's like one of the first things I learned on guitar was a diminished arpeggio. To do that, somebody showed me, like a heavy metal guitarist that was older than me showed me that. And it's kind of the same thing. Remember that a minor 6 chord is the same thing as a minor 7 flat 5, just starting on different notes. So A minor 6 is like an F sharp minor 7 flat 5. And minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio is like a diminished chord except one note. So if I play an F sharp diminished, and just change the E flat to an E, I get an A minor 6. The diminished. That diminished arpeggio is easy to kind of find. But if you can do that, then you just change one note. It's a little bit more of a stretch. Remember, the technique here is to move your hand instead of stretching. Then D minor. So then there's a diminished arpeggio surrounding the E and up again.
Solo number 3, minor swing. Slow. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's see if I can play this arpeggios. try.
Solo number 3, minor swing, fast. 1, 2, 1.
So here's the faster version. Yeah, that's probably very easy for him to play. I'm struggling with these arpeggios. I'm not used to playing them like that. That's my excuse. But this book will show you how to do that. Also, it's interesting to kind of his timing. He's not playing. It's very straight. The last one is another tune that they play in this style called Shine. Also a common tune in gypsy jazz, and I never heard anybody play it in the more normal jazz. This is a good example of his
fast
technique here.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, you get the idea. There are tons of videos with Andreas that you can check out if you want to check out some of it. He's got some a couple of records out, not only gypsy jazz, but I think he's most famous for his gypsy jazz playing. Should also mention here, yeah, you can buy this book from djangobooks.com, which is a website or an online store where you can buy everything you need for gypsy jazz and more. And you can go there and check out guitars that, I don't know about you, but I can't afford those guitars. Maybe you can. I can't. There are cheaper guitars as well. And if you order it from Europe, there's a tax, like a import tax. So there is, I think it's like a German gypsy jazz guitars.de or something where you can order this book from. Also should mention here that Andreas performs exclusively on AJL guitars by Arjukka Luomoranta, which is a Finnish luthier who builds beautiful Django style guitars, but his archtop guitars are really, really good. And you can go to his website too and check out some really, really nice guitars. Gypsy Fire. Take your solos to the next level by learning patterns, arpeggios used by gypsy jazz guitarists Django Reinhardt, Birelli Lagren, Stockelo Rosenberg, and Jimmy Rosenberg. This book is an incredible resource for all players interested in learning the technique and language of this wonderful music called gypsy jazz. Jon Larsen, not to be confused with Jens Larsen. Jon Larsen is a Norwegian gypsy jazz guitar player who did play this style when nobody else was doing it with his Hot Club de Norvège. And he is very much responsible for bringing this style of music to a wider audience. Yeah, it's by Andreas Oberg and Michael Horowitz. So Horowitz, I think, is the the man behind djangobooks.com, and we mentioned him when I spoke to Dennis Chang in the interview I did with him, and that he also has a book out that I don't have actually, that came out before all these other books. So I might get that one. I used to have it. I don't know where. I probably gave it to a student or something. Other than that, I don't think there are that many books. I've seen something on fundamental changes have some books. I haven't seen them. I've never heard of the authors. I think maybe John Jorgensen, who's this signature guitar is in his name, has a book maybe, but I don't think it's in print anymore. So again, this is a book that you can find, and it's excellent for trying if you want to learn this style of music. So that was Gypsy Fire by Andreas Öberg, and I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for your time and attention. I shall see you next time.